You're watching Rush Hour with me, Anjali Palod, and bringing you the biggest update on the global front. It looks like US and China have reached a deal. US President posted on Truth Social saying, and I quote, "The big trade meeting in Europe between the United States of America and China has gone very well. It will be concluding shortly. A deal was also reached on a quote-unquote certain company that young people in our country were very much wanted to save. They will be very happy. I will be speaking to President Xi on Friday. The relationship remains a very strong one." Now, that is the Truth Social post coming in from the US President Donald Trump. And joining us on the show is Ashok Sajjhar, the former ambassador, to help us decode these comments coming in from the United States President. Ashok, welcome to the show. First of all, I want to understand from you the significance of these comments. He's saying that the US President has said that he will be meeting the Chinese President or speaking to Chinese President on Friday. We weren't expecting a meeting between the two presidents until October in South Korea. So does this dialogue signify a big turnaround in the US's attitude towards China or the US-Chinese relationship?
Yeah, thank you very much, Anjali, for having me on the show. You're very right. Actually, Trump has been angling to speak with President Xi Jinping for quite some time. He's, made this very clear. He's not been coy about it. He's not hidden it. So, even in the message that he has put out on Truth Social, it becomes very clear that he is very happy. He's very delighted that he has the possibility of speaking to President Xi Jinping. So, that is something that he's been wanting. The other is as far as, the deal on TikTok, because that was the main issue that was under discussion in the negotiations in Madrid. And that was in term to determine the future of TikTok, whether it's going to be banned in the United States or there is going to be divested of TikTok by the Chinese ByteDance company that owns it. Now, the US President, Mr. Trump, has been quite keen to continue with it because he doesn't want to spoil relations with China. He looks upon, relations with China on a broad, comprehensive level. So, although there have been decisions of the Supreme Court, US Supreme Court, that it should be banned, even as far as the Congress, US Congress is concerned, they've also decided that TikTok should be banned within the country. And even in his first term, he had spoken about banning TikTok unless it was sort of, divested from the Chinese ownership. But then he has been extending it. It's already been, I think, 3 extensions that have been given to TikTok, notwithstanding these decisions from the US Supreme Court and from the US Congress. And the last extension that was to expire was on 17th of September, that is 2 days from now. So obviously he appears to be very happy that some sort of a deal has been reached. Of course, we'll get to know the details of the deal possibly after Trump and Xi speak on Friday. So far, no details are available, but there were issues related to lowering of tariffs on Chinese products in the United States and also removal of certain restrictions on export of high-tech goods to China. So we'll really have to wait and see what are the details as far as the technical details, because as they say, the devil is in the details. So we'll really have to wait and see how much the United States has given in, and how much China has been able to benefit. Anjali.
Ambassador, we'll get to talking about the TikTok deal a little bit more later on, but we've seen Donald Trump shift his stance on relationship with China as a trade partner multiple times. While on one end, he's lobbying the EU to raise tariffs on China and India, he has also said in this Truth Social post that their relationship, that is US and China relationship, remains a very strong one. Now, this dichotomy, does it suggest that as much as US wants to, it cannot really ignore the dominance that China has has in world trade?
No, absolutely. One is as far as the dominance is concerned, as far as global trade is concerned and global technologies are concerned, because there are, whether it's in the area of AI, deep seek, you have China, which has, proven a strong uh, background in that. But in addition to that, Donald Trump has also realized that China has very significant countervailing power in terms of its control over such more than 80-90% of the global supplies of rare earth magnets and critical materials. And that is why when Trump went on a spree of increasing tariffs on Chinese products entering into the United States, went on from 50 to 100, 145, 245. Uh, China did not relent. China did not blink. And they also kept increasing the tariffs, and they put a stop to the export of rare earth magnets, which are required by the United States for all its high-tech industry, whether it is defense or it is EVs or any of the other items, the weaponry, medical equipment, etc., and semiconductors. So this is all that is required by the United States. So the US had come back, had to scale down on the tariffs it had imposed, and so far, and it has been postponing also the application of these tariffs by given periods, and the last one was for a further extension. I think it was in July, further extension of 90 days for Chinese goods into the United States. So we have seen that United States and Mr. Trump are heavily constrained because of the control that China has on a large number of items that are critically required by the United States. And it is under those circumstances that the US has had to negotiate. And that is why we find that even Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, and the USTR, Jamison Greer, who were in Madrid, meaning they are very, very respectful towards China, unlike what you see them, Bessent himself, and some of the others, Navarro and Lutnick and others, who have been pouring invectives against India because they know that China has some very strong cards in his hand. So Trump has been unwilling to take very strong action against China. Anjali.
Absolutely. And Ambassador, the same kind of resistance that you speak about when it comes to tariffs, China has also shown that with TikTok as well. But now the US president says that a deal has been reached. While we await more details on what exactly this kind of arrangement between US and China over TikTok will look like, where would you put the chances of us seeing a non-Chinese owner of TikTok?
Quite unlikely because I think, as far as China is concerned, it has been very reluctant to divest from TikTok because it feels that it might give some sort of impression to in other geographies, in other markets, that they will also ask for divestiture of other Chinese companies and want to have local equity in that. And you would recall that even in the first term, why Trump had spoken about banning TikTok or putting it under U.S. ownership, it was on security interests, and which means that those concerns have been put to one side because China would have made it very clear to America that it will not be comfortable with divestiture. So maybe as a countervail, it has suggested that tariffs on Chinese products that had been put, they should be brought down, and the restrictions on the export of some of the high-tech items to China, that should be removed. So we'll really have to wait and see as to how much the United States has been forced to give up and how much China has been able to get in the final deal that is being struck between the two sides.
Right. Absolutely. And Ambassador, for my final question, we also have the trade negotiations between India and US that are slated for later in this week. In fact, we are expecting the US negotiators to reach India tonight. So basically, right now, who does US look like a better friend to? Is it India or is it China?
That's a very difficult question. I think in terms of the relationship between India and China, India and the United States, it is very vast. It is very comprehensive. You know, whether it is in the area of technology, whether it is in the area of security, it is in the area of trade, investment, it's in the area of counterterrorism. So these are areas in which both India and the United States are collaborating. I think as against that, the relationship between the United States and China, of course, it's very significant as far as trade is concerned, but it's also a very one-sided trade because China has a trade surplus of about 300, $400 billion with the United States. So it's a very unequal trade. As far as India is concerned, we have only about a 40 odd billion-dollar trade surplus. And if it is in the range of in the area of investment, that also they have a strong collaboration. But all the others, in terms of strategic areas and geopolitical and counterterrorism and security, I think those are areas where there is very minimal cooperation between the United States and China. So I would say that the India-US relations are very broad-based, are very comprehensive, have great depth. Of course, they will continue to expand in the coming years. But that between US and China are also quite significant and quite critical. And that is while normally it should be between India and the United States, it should be one of convergence of interest, while in the case of China, there is much greater divergence of interest between the two sides.
Very well, Ambassador.
Anjali.
And with too many moving parts, we're yet to see how the India-US and the China-US relationships unfold in the coming weeks. But thank you so much for joining us on ET Now and sharing your insights.
Thank you very